Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dev Diary. Today we're staying indoors to continue working on our game about the dangers of being outdoors. Indeed, we're continuing work on the reboot to the original concept for our Plants vs. Vampires project. This time with a protagonist who struggles with agoraphobia, which adds an extra flavor to our tower defense concept. And while we've only just begun, the ambition for the future of this project is looking pretty bright. Brighter than the sun even, but which is outside, which is where we don't want to go. Anyway, before we explore said aspirations, remember to leave a like if you enjoyed today's video, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Turn on those notifications so you don't miss future episodes and all things game dev here on the channel. And with that said, let's get to those ambitions. 2 new pieces of furniture have been added to our game, a workbench and a chair. With the additions of the workbench come a change in the way that we handle display menus in our game. All menus are now consolidated under a single function, and for the time being it's just a bunch of display data pulled for whatever menu is accessed. And it's hard to tell since we have no content to display, but just know that the computer pulls computer details and the workbench pulls workbench details. The placement feature has also received a major overhaul, including a ton of new functionality. The player can now store both furniture and turrets in their inventory. And to test this, accessing the computer will add a chair to the player's inventory, and accessing the workbench will add a turret. For now, the information stored is very basic, and it's, without a doubt, going to get more complicated in the future. And for the record, items like the computer and workbench are classified as furniture. So if the player has items in their inventory, the placement system will allow them to, well, place those items in the world. And placement for those items are restricted to their type, meaning furniture can only be placed inside the house, and turrets can only be placed outside the house. And when an item is placed in the world, an actual object is created and inherits all that stored data. Again, for now, it's simply either the chair or turret, but it's going to get crazier in the future. The player can also pick up those placed items with a right click while in placement mode. This basically does the inverse of placing something by removing the object and recording the necessary data needed back into the inventory. And thankfully, the decision to implement a highlight system for interactivity made this process a lot easier to code. And while on the subject of interactivity, furniture will have unique interactions in the future. The logic and functionality is already ready to go, it just needs something to do, which again we'll get to later. In fact, there's still a lot of uncertainties right now. This entire inventory system is also kind of temporary, and will be until we figure out just how, magical our players' pockets should be. And another fun fact, our draw code for furniture and turrets, at least when it comes to the HUD elements, is now a universal function, which will hopefully future-proof our project a bit. Now, you may be wondering why we're focusing so much on placement. Well, while our game is primarily a tower defense game, the inclusion of furniture and interactive elements means, hopefully, that we will be able to add a bit of Animal Crossing to our game. I think it'll give even greater emphasis to the usage of ordering stuff through the computer, which, for those of you savvy, may have noticed that our inventory stores arrays for each item. And this is because I hope to make turrets customizable. The idea may end up being too ambitious, but the goal is to create a tower defense game that provides a ton of customization and experimentation, so that each playthrough feels personalized, which will hopefully in turn help to encourage the player to progress. Again, a lot of this is still in the planning stages as we build the foundation for these aspirations, so in the meantime I would love to know what you think of the direction and if it's something that you'd actually consider playing. And if you would like to play some of my other work that's been featured here on the channel previously, or maybe want early access to these videos, subscribe to my Patreon. And with that brings us to the end of today's Dev Diary, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.